Alright guys, so I showed you what a burn notice. I shouldn't call it burn notice. I have a tendency, I don't know if anybody noticed, but I could be a little dramatic. So burn notice is something, but frankly, if you're military, you know what I'm talking about. And all I can draw on now is what I know to be true. I mean, it's not like I'm a teenager, hon. I mean, I'm 59 years old. I didn't just get here. So I think I fleshed out the characters. I had to look it up. I had my terminology screwed up about how to flesh out the plot and what those storylines would mean. And I, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And it's a way that I cope. You know, it's one of the things that I've always done. I can see the beauty in the weirdest places. And I've always been that way. And I'm optimistic. Why not be? There have been many challenges in my life. Many, many, many. This isn't the first time I've dealt with racists or psychopaths or groups of racists and psychopaths, which is kind of interesting. That's an odd life to live. But yeah, I've done it. I've maneuvered. I've ducked. I've dodged. But this time I couldn't maneuver. This time I was bested. That's an odd position to be in. I was absolutely buried. And I was absolutely there. And when I said the master showed her how to hit the opponent that's so close, how do you hit that fucker? I remember when I got home from the hospital thinking, this is either going to go really well or this is going to go way south. I mean, I'd been stalked for I don't know how long. I knew that I couldn't get care without being stalked. What I didn't have is proof of what they were using. How on earth would they be able to reach across so many different doctor's offices? And what would they use to be able to pay people to do that? How would they do that? How do you send a dog whistle? It was the authorizations. The burn notices, as I call them. When I saw that, that was like a gut punch, you know? I mean, they even were so bold as to put their email addresses and stuff on there. And, you know, if you have any questions, contact me. Well, Miss Ma'am, there's going to be some people contacting you with some questions, all right? Miss Ma'am, there's going to be some people contacting you with some questions, for sure. And that is a real burn notice. And yes, the person who sent that actually put their email address and everything. Again, this is cultural. As I said, the system is made of people. Now, what their incentives are to be tyrannical or to take advantage of people, well, you know, I don't know. People have lives that suck. I don't know. Money was the first one. And that's the most obvious. That's the one that people can get their hands around really quickly. You know, but when you're dealing with psychopaths don't need a reason other than you pissed them off or outed them. I think anybody would agree. You have these narcissistic or narcissist creators. I've even seen creators on here that are actual psychopaths. And they have massive followings. And I'm always kind of amazed at that because it's like signing up for an ass whooping, you know. Someone tells you they're a narcissist. Someone tells you they're a diagnosed psychopath. You had better, yeah, because in their mind, if you get got by them, they already told you. You have to understand, there are no reformed actual psychopaths or MPDs. No. So when you see them, you know, giving y'all advice, just know that when they're ready, if you're the one that they decide to be the one, you really will be the one. And you will hate yourself for the rest of your life, and they know that. You'll hate yourself so much you'll never even think about trying to come back to them and say that they did something to you because you signed up for this shit. Okay. Anyway, off of that. But so that's what these authorizations allow them to do. And I'm going to use a term that, I'm hoping that these folks, or you guys even look up, for example, VCAs, Veteran Care Agreements. Now, listen, an authorization does not a VCA make. Let me just say that. But a Veterans Care Agreement says things like, hey, it's probably a bad idea to steal from us. We're going to let you treat this veteran for a year, and we'll pay you. I don't know if they get paid in advance, that kind of thing. I don't have the financial statements yet. And this is the way you'll behave. These are the laws, and this is how we expect you to behave, because in a federal facility like a VA, we would expect this level of care, a VCA. These doctors don't have VCAs. What they have are authorizations to do some dirt. That's what they got. And it started with the burn list. It'll start with that authorization that says burn this person. Reduce the claim, essentially. Let me just use I'm going to throw different terms in there. Reduce the claim. Okay. So you go in there, like in my case, in 2015, and I have an accident. I'm there quite accidentally. It's an accident. And I remember my provider. I remember what happened thoroughly. I remember that day like it was yesterday. There's not many times you find yourself spinning in circles on I-95. It's the kind of thing you remember. So, yeah. I also remember the guy that got out of his Charger came back to me and stole my watch. It's weird shit like that that'll make those days stand out in history. I remember getting in the ambulance. I remember the police officer who was asking me questions. Do you know what I told the police officer? Because I'm situationally aware of. He said, hey, how fast were you going? What were you doing? All this stuff. I'm laying on my back in the ambulance. I said, sir, this is not a good time to talk. Not a good time for me. I'll answer any question you have as soon as I get through this, if I get through it. Thank you very much. I remember the ambulance driver, or not driver, but the person working there. Because the trooper I told that to kind of smirked at me when I said it. He kind of smiled. It wasn't he was an angry guy. He wasn't angry at what I said. He understood what I said. That I'm not making any statements. No statements. I'm not making any statements. I'm kind of in the back of an ambulance over here. I'm busy. But the person that was tending to me, well, for her, that was a slight. So she kept asking questions, and I kept saying exactly the same thing. And one of the things that Dr. Gavin noted specifically in her original notes, yeah, I have that. I'm just that kind of person, was that I was wearing a seatbelt. You see, that person in the ambulance was trying to get me hemmed up. She was asking me, were you wearing a seatbelt? This and that and other. And Dr. Gavin made sure that that was a part of the report. They also tested me for alcohol and other things that are illegal, for the police to do that, because I remember the nurse coming, Brittany, I think maybe it was Brittany, coming to me and saying, hey, I think there was weed in your system. And, well, good thing there was no alcohol in your system, because you'd have been in a lot of trouble, lady. And I'm telling you right now, if that's really weed or whatever, well, you be careful when you do that kind of stuff. She was just the most cute black lady, and she was saying it from her heart, and she just wanted me to be okay. And Dr. Gavin was pretty cool, too. I mean, no way I would go, that's a thief. And I just don't, you can't I don't know. Anyway, I saw what she wrote as a diagnosis, and it's sus. But she did write a diagnosis, okay? She did. She says she thinks it might be fibroids, But you should correlate that other stuff that says it's cancer. She didn't say all of that, but it was sort of like that. Okay. Now, I know this in 2015. I read this shit, and I don't know what it means, but I'm like, oh, Lord. Oh, man, that's a whole nother process, but I want to make this kind of short. So, I had gotten the radiology reports and that kind of stuff and read the impression because I wasn't getting any information from VA. As a matter of fact, they returned it to like massive dicks, like out of nowhere. I mean, saying the most ridiculous things to me, and it would appear to be trying to provoke me at every turn. And so I was like, well, they got me messed up. I don't deal with this kind of nonsense. I'm not coming back up in here. What are we going to talk about? Right? And honestly, the looks on her face. And now I always wonder why they always looked at me so silly. Like, why are you looking at me so goofy? You look goofy. Well, I was the goof. I just didn't know I was the goof because, I didn't know all that stuff was floating around about me. How was I supposed to know? People like that don't say things like that to your face, except maybe one representative there. Her last name was Kimbrough. And I honestly believe I might have went to school with her dad, which is way crazy. I hope that wasn't your father. I mean, for really. Because, girl, you were a mess in that office. That woman had me in tears, y'all. I mean, she was saying the rudest shit to me. She says, oh, so you didn't finish high school. And some other shit. Not like I didn't have a GED by like 17 and I wasn't like fucking accepted in the Butler by 19. Whatever, bitch. Anywho. I was just furious. And the reason I bring up your dad or going to school with a Kimbrough is because I did. And when I went to school would know why I was in tears. Because I wanted to, oh my God, I was so through. It was all I could do, y'all. It was all I could do. Oh my God. She was just beyond disrespectful. But again, I didn't know that burn order was out there, you see. So if I'd have jumped or if I'd have got rude or any way, she literally would have had VA police right on my ass. I'd have got my ass beat. Anything could have happened. And based on what's on that thing, yeah, mental institution, whatever. They can throw you in some holes. The VA can do some crazy shit. I've seen them do it to other people. Not pretty. So, no, Tanya's not going for that one. You're going to get away with a bunch of shit when you have a whole police force behind you. You're going to be able to say a bunch of shit to me, for real. I'm not silly enough to believe that I'm going to put myself in that position. I'm going to exit out that area, stage left. But again, my ego was like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Anyway, if I went to school with your daddy, shame on you, ma'am. Just shame on you. Shame. All that pick me and go along, get along stuff, it just gets people in the kind of situation they're in right now. So anyway, I forgot where I was going with that, so I'm going to kind of leave it there. One of the things that I find having to address this now, and like I said, taking on the challenge of saying, hey, you're not going to get away with this. I'm going to the state attorney. I'm going everywhere I can. I am going to put together a video that really tries to address that. But these things take time. And, people who do YouTube or tell these stories or TikTokers, those guys are actual professionals, really. They put a lot of effort into the videos they bring to you guys. I got to tell y'all, shout out to the YouTubers and TikTokers, because frankly, I think some of you guys you do amazing work. You're way up there, for real. Undisputable is one. Dude, you're up there. Matter of fact, I'm sending you this, as a matter of fact. I'm working through it. So, and I like endings to stories, so I think I'm ready to really, really launch and tell my story for sure after the lawsuit has been filed. Because you need to know, I'm not playing with these people at all. And they weren't playing with me. You need to understand that. And a lot of resources were spent. That's why I said, when people get that kind of money, can do these kind of things and they abuse their authority. I mean, if a government agency tells you that you're dealing with a dingbat, you're probably going to think you're dealing with a dingbat. Why would you look at that twice? That's how detrimental that kind of thing is. That's horrible that you should see that. As a matter of fact, under HIPAA, each time that kind of a comment was made can be fined up to $1 million. That's how serious it is. And it's so serious that even on the cover letter that was sent with it, it says, do not do this. That's the VA's way of saying, hey, that's illegal. Doesn't mean they're not going to do it. It's just, when they hem Miss Ma'am up that sent that over to to Methodist Hospital, when they hem you up, miss, that's what they're going to use. You're going to be like, well, I didn't know. And first of all, it's billing codes. You knew. And second of all, it says it right on the cover sheet. Goof. And that's the kind of stuff I mean. I think this is where I was kind of going. A person like that, or a person like Kimbrough, they didn't have to be cruel. They were not paid to be cruel. They just wanted to be cruel. They didn't get paid. Surgeons got paid, right? I don't know if the dentist filed false claims. I didn't have to be there. I don't know. All that stuff on the list. It's not hard to believe a doctor's office wouldn't want you at their office. I would think that they would be concerned about you being disruptive, frankly. So at first glance, I don't know. I have to tell you guys, I don't know what to make of that either, except to say they're billing codes and not diagnoses. You'll have to explain how you come up with that. I mean, after all, you're the professionals. But from my perspective, just looking at that, it says that that's a patient you need to be really concerned about, or it should be a safety risk. And so, yeah, that explains your behavior to some degree. Some of you. But some of you were just cruel to be cruel. And I think you have to sit with that for a minute. Like I said, those are the kind of things that run across your mind when you're on your deathbed. It's those kind of things. You got no money, Ms. Kimbrough. You just got the pleasure of stomping on another sister. You're a special kind of somebody. But you are part of the system. And you are what we like to call gatekeepers, if you didn't know. You'll protect that system at all costs. And you're not very good at what you do, but you get the opportunity to be cruel and express power over someone. And you love that kind of thing. I bet if, I could talk to your family or saw you interact with them, I would see how cruel you really were. So that's what I mean about some of you people. You jump out with all of this nonsense. But when the truth is out, then all of a sudden you don't want to stand on 10 behind what you said. But when you were with your friends over there at Adam Benjamin Clinic, you guys were having a ball. Just being cruel because you could. Really, shame on you. The type of shame that'll never come off.